Seja bem-vindo ao podcast do Artista Pro. Eu sou Mia Bastos, cantora, empresária e especialista em negócios digitais para artistas. Aqui você vai ouvir sobre os bastidores do mercado da música, análise dos cases mais populares da atualidade e conteúdos exclusivos que vão te ajudar a assumir o controle da sua carreira e faturar já!
Fala galera, tá começando mais um podcast do Artista Pro e eu tenho que te dizer que esse vídeo não era pra ser um podcast. Eu participei de uma seletiva e ganhei com ela um encontro no Zoom. Karra, Karra, eu preciso agora falar meio inglês, meio americanizada, porque sim, gente, eu importei essa convidada, a gente não sabia que ia gravar na hora ali, eu pedi pra ela se eu podia gravar essa sessão que me rendeu um podcast, porque ficou muito rico esse conteúdo e eu queria compartilhar com vocês. Espero que vocês gostem. Se você fala inglês, você vai entender super bem. Se não, a gente também disponibilizou as legendas para que você consiga aí absorver todo esse conteúdo riquíssimo que a Karra deixou aí pra gente. Ela é uma cantora, compositora, independente, tem aí vídeos de muito sucesso com produção musical também, então sigam ela no YouTube, sigam ela no Instagram. E, gente, eu era fã dela, fã, curtia tudo, comentava tudo, participei aí de um pré-save que ela fez, comentando várias vezes pra conseguir ganhar essa chamada no Zoom com ela. Então eu espero que vocês consigam apreciar tanto quanto eu apreciei. É isso, bora pro vídeo, sem mais delongas, com vocês, Karra!
What do you got for me?
I'm really happy to be here talking to you because since I first met you, I just found like a reference for me, what I was doing here in Brazil. I was like, oh my God, there's someone that is already doing this in U.S.
Worldwide.
Yeah, she's going to lead the way for me for the things that I'm doing. So I'm always checking like which type of contents do you make that works better to try to maybe like do something like this in Portuguese, and it's amazing. Thank you.
So awesome. I've noticed more and more that first of all, someone's mowing the lawn outside, so sorry. But I've been noticing more and more, especially when I was heavily doing live streams, that there have been people from all across the world like watching me, and it kind of blows my mind because I'm in my own little bubble. So, but that is exactly the goal, is to inspire other people, especially women across the world, to not be afraid of kind of living in a man's world and, you know, being in the studio, working with equipment, talking about technical stuff. So that makes me so happy to see that you're doing that too.
Yeah, because when I first started in the industry in Brazil, I was always going to the studios and I've never seen a woman in the table like producing. So the first contact I have, it was like with you and like women producing. And once you already started talking about this, how do you feel that is like your life? I'm sorry about my English, but you feel like
English. I'm impressed. I can't speak Portuguese, so
you feel like it's been more challenging for you because you're a woman?
Yeah, I think yes and no. I feel like lately I really try and stay away from victimizing myself. Just in general, I think that's like a really good piece of advice for anybody going through anything difficult. So I definitely don't want to play the woman card. I do want to feel like I'm equal, even though there are, you know, it's obvious that there just isn't as many women producing and in the music industry in general. But what I have found is that I know my strengths are very different from a man's strengths. And the reason why Reed and I work so well together in a partnership is because we kind of complete that full spectrum of skills and knowledge and strengths and emotions, anything that you need to be creative. And so I do think that there's so much value in working with men. I think it's just finding the right man to do it with. So does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Especially because now I have a boyfriend that is working with me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Wait, that's amazing. Yeah, I wasn't even looking for, a boyfriend, now fiance, to even do music with. That wasn't even my goal in the beginning, but I'm so happy that it turned out that way, because it is such a safe space for the both of us to just create whatever we feel like doing that day. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it was impressive for me is that you managed to do both. Like you had your career and you still have your career, and you're doing all this production and backstage and management, and you also have the courses, you have the plugins, you have everything. So how can you manage to stay creative in this high performance all the time?
It's a challenge, and obviously social media is a highlight reel, right? So you don't get to see the difficult parts. And I try my best to share as openly as possible as I can. And I'm getting better at that. I feel like that's kind of a new piece of content strategy, is just by like talking into the camera about whatever I feel like talking about that day. But for me, it's really important. I'm super empathic and I'm super sensitive, and I need my time to step away from the work. And I think, Reed, as a man, whatever he does, he can work all day long and like not feel tired at all. But that just doesn't work for me. So when it comes to balancing and juggling, throughout the day, I take numerous breaks. I either read a book, I write in my journal, I go work out. I try and just do something unrelated. And that's an all day thing. I mean, for me, when I was living in Los Angeles and I was songwriting, I would basically go to a session. I would be in that session for like 7 hours straight. And I would leave feeling so worn out. And I was like, there's got to be like a better way to do this. So that's when I decided to build my home studio so that I could step away from it when I felt overwhelmed, or just like not in that creative like zone anymore, because it happens quickly. Like the creativity and the bursts of inspiration, it's very quick. And if I don't catch that wave, then it's not happening. I missed it.
Yeah. I feel like the content has its own time to be produced. If you lose it, it might go forever. Yeah. And
cool. I can't force it either. So there are days where I don't do anything. I don't create anything new. And then there are days where I am on a freaking roll and I'm just knocking shit out. This
is a women thing, because I also feel like the cycle of high productivity and low. I can't just stay stable all the time.
Yeah, and speaking scientifically, I mean, every month we go through those ups and downs with our hormones, and a lot of that comes into play when it comes to work. So a few days before my period, I don't feel like I'm really productive. I need to spend more time in isolation. I need to nurture myself and do things that just make me feel good. And then when I'm coming out the other side of having my period, I feel a lot stronger, a lot more ready to go. So that's just
same. I try to explain it to my boyfriend, he doesn't get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. At first, Reed didn't understand it either, but I think now that we've been together for so long, he gets it, and then he'll pick up the slack when I'm just not feeling good. So but I think it's important for us to recognize that our bodies are telling us, hey, slow down. Okay, now it's time to go. And then you just listen to yourself. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is just trusting myself, and listening to my body, my mind, my spirit, and then I give it what it needs. Yeah. And then ultimately I'm way more productive.
By the way, I love this new type of content that you're talking and sharing. I feel like I'm part of your career, I'm part of your journey. And I feel like you can stay productive even when you are not in your best days, because you're just being honest, talking about like these days I'm not feeling like.
You know what's so funny is that's exactly how I'm utilizing it when I don't feel like making a production tutorial or something like that. I'll just get on my phone and talk about something that is like calling me and coming to me in that moment.
Yeah, and it's really helpful for other artists, other content creators.
Yeah.
Yes, because we struggle with the same things, but sometimes we forget about it. Social media
Right.
just put so much of like happiness of others in front of us, and we just lose the focus, and we are just drained
A
by.
touch of reality. And I think it's important for me. That was like my biggest piece of, I guess, the way I wanted to present myself and my brand was by giving everyone the full spectrum of what it means to be an artist. And I don't consider myself a content creator. I don't consider myself a vocalist or even a songwriter. I view myself as an artist because that embodies every single aspect of what it means to have a artistic career in this day and age. It's so different with social media and content. So yeah, I
Oh my
think
God, I have goosebumps.
yeah.
I needed this so badly.
Of course, and for me, it's actually it's working. It's working. When I started making content a couple years ago, I was like, you know what? I don't really know what to talk about besides what I'm going through and helping people and giving people like an inside glimpse of my process and documenting my life. And I think that's a huge, huge, huge piece of advice that I can give you is simply document, show people who you are, what you do every day. And eventually, you maybe right now you might not feel like it's interesting enough. That's just life. Like the person and the life that I was living 5 years ago is incredibly different than what I'm living now. But I still did my best by putting myself out there in the ways that I knew how in that moment. And eventually it's just a gradual growth and transformation. And that's what's cool about social media is that your audience grows and transforms with you.
Yeah. And you know what type of content it really helped me that you were documenting yourself? It was the day of a day in
life. Yes.
a day in your life, independent artist
Yeah.
life. So it was so helpful because once you start working as an artist and you have no one to ask you to do anything, you are in charge of your career, your decisions.
Everything.
You just can get lazy so easily. You don't know what should I do today. I have so much freedom. And when you give a reference like, oh, you can do this and you can do that, it's so helpful.
That's amazing that you say that. And it's been a while since I've done a day in the life video, so I got to get on that.
Yeah.
But what's important for me to point out is that it's not laziness, it's just being overwhelmed because there are so many responsibilities and so many steps to get to where you want to be, that I think it's really difficult for people to learn how to, once again, going back to trusting yourself and just being your own leader. When you are an artist and you're taking control of your own life and your career, you have to be your own leader. You have to come up and dream up the things that are going to make you money, that are going to get you attention, that are going to inspire people, change your life. And so that gets overwhelming, and it's okay to take it step by step. I'm 30 years old.
Me too. This year.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
but the reason I even bring up age is that it literally took me that long to, get to this point. And I think people sometimes can see young, successful artists, getting these like hits and all this stuff when they're freaking teenager. That's because they have the connections and the parents and the label and the team behind them pushing that. For people like us that don't necessarily have that, and there's nothing wrong with those people, and there's nothing wrong with that system. Obviously, it works for a reason. But when we are in control of our own destiny and don't have that kind of help, it's a lot to take on.
It's a lot.
And it takes a lot longer than you might hope for or think it would.
Yeah. And something that I've been struggling so much with is how to combine like both words in one social media, because it's not everybody that is interested in my music that is going to be interested in my courses, in this type of things that I do. But at the same time, I need to document, because it's so exhausted to producing for two different words.
Right.
My energy get wasted in the way. Like, so how can I manage to join both of these sides?
That's a great question. And I think it's important for you to know that I started my career just focusing on music. I was just writing. I was top lining for DJs. I was getting music out in that space. And then I realized, wait a second, this isn't actually my passion. You know, like I love EDM music, but this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. So then I pivoted. And you know, it's what music and creative careers, all it is just focusing on something and then pivoting it. Focusing on something and pivoting, and then constantly pivoting until you are able to combine all of those worlds together. So right now I'm focusing on building my audience so that when I release my solo pop music that I've been working on behind the scenes, I'll have an audience to share it with, and I'll have more of like a better understanding of the way social media works, what gets attention, what doesn't. So that I can give my music, my solo music, the best possible chance that it can get. So, so don't worry about the how and the when things are gonna like really start to come to fruition. I think focusing on certain things and certain times is totally okay. I mean, I haven't released a ton of music this year because of the fact I was focusing on my business and my social media. Like it's hard to do it all at once.
It is. It's really hard. I focus in this project that I have, that I talk with artists, Artista Pro, or Artista Pro in Portuguese. And it's basically, right now it's 5 courses.
Just get a drink. 5 courses.
5 courses. Yeah, I should have left
about
water here close to me too. Yeah, we have so right now with these courses we are already embracing more than 500 students.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is cool.
That's amazing. I have to check it out.
Yeah.
After we sign off, send me all the links to all of your businesses and stuff. I would love to look at it.
Yeah, and I miss that, because when I first started, we didn't have anyone to check about like home studio items, what type of microphone should I buy, and right now people can find this type of content, and it's so helpful.
Yes.
And so when you're producing your content, you usually go back in your mind like what I missed like 10 years ago, what was missing for me?
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. See, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I'm trying to do you in Portuguese. I'm just not that high performance yet.
But the most important thing is that you do you 100%. You don't have to do me. You do you. Yeah. But yes, that's exactly what I did. So when I first started, when I first moved out to LA, I literally knew no one. I knew nothing about the music industry. I was fortunate enough to go to college in Nashville for music business, but I didn't really feel like it helped me much because the curriculum was like pretty outdated. And honestly, the Nashville scene is like way different than the LA scene. And then that goes for any city, any country, right?
Yeah.
But what's universal is the music process, like creating music and the curiosity behind that. So what I did was basically take all of the questions that I had when I knew nothing, and I started answering those questions, making videos about those things and putting it out in the world. And then that's when I realized how many other people out there need that information and are looking for some of those, not necessarily answers, because I feel like everybody is different and everybody has their own path and their own process, but guidance.
Yeah.
And it did really well for me. And that's exactly why I was able to build the audience that I have now, just by answering the questions that I had when I was younger.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you about Splicey, because it was when I first met you. And I think many artists are curious about, like, how can I make money just uploading my samples, the things that I create, and how should we start?
Yeah, so it's so funny because whenever I talk about Splice, it's just one of those things where I was there at the right time with the right idea, with the right people, and it just all came to fruition at the right combination of everything. So it's so hard for me to tell people, yeah, like just hit up Splice and you'll get your packs on there, because it's just not the same game anymore. It's oversaturated. Splice has exploded as a company. And I actually stopped working with Splice. I don't make Splice packs anymore because of this, because I felt like I did what I could with that company, and then it was time to move on and create my own thing. So that's where I'm heading with this. Don't be afraid to make your own website, make your own business, make your own packs, and just put it out there. I know it's a lot. You have to be a web designer. You have to be a producer, a songwriter. You have to do it all. And I, once again, am fortunate enough to have been with Reed, who has always been independent. And when I was exploding on Splice, he started his own website, which is Whole Loops, where he sells vocal chains and packs and drum kits and all that sorts of stuff. And it was so successful because there just wasn't that many people doing it at the time. But what I appreciate about Reed is that he has always had his own vision and his independence. And Splice even, asked him to be on the website, and he said no, because he wanted to keep everything within his own brand. And so that's where, that's why I'm telling you this is like, don't be afraid to start your own brand, start your own website, start your own business. If you do it long enough, and if you're consistent with it, and you come up with a good concept for everything and good searchability, and you promote it well, you will be successful. People will buy your products. Hands down, it's a foolproof system.
Yeah,
it really is, because everybody is going to need vocals. Everyone's going to need new samples to create with, because honestly, everyone's using Splice samples. People are looking for non-Splice samples. And then when it comes to people who really are determined to get on Splice, it's just a matter of trying to find a connection with somebody there. That's it.
Yeah.
But you have to keep in mind is they have access to all the best, artists, biggest producers in the world. And so they have everyone hitting them up. And so you're in competition with those people, and at the time, there really wasn't any vocal packs out. And it was actually me who reached out to them and said, hey, how do you feel about working with me on this pack? And they gave it a shot, and it was a massive success. But yeah, it's just, I know that's like not like a super full, like, this is what you do type of answer, but I hope it inspires you to actually like consider creating your own brand and website and business, because people need stuff.
And also taking advantage when some platform is starting. Like if there's something new it's starting that it's popping up, maybe you have to give it a shot at first.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all about like weaving your way through different contexts and opportunities. And some things that you try might not be a success. And I've had many of those situations.
And you should try listen to funk music. Do you know funk from Brazil?
You know what? I love bossa nova music so much, but I don't listen to. Maybe I should check out funk Brazilian music.
Yeah, you should get to know like some artists like Kevin or Chris, Anita. Anita, do you know Anita? It's our biggest artist here.
I saw Anita at Coachella, and I was obsessed with her set because I know I haven't released a lot of my music yet, but one of my producers is Kashmir and then Reed. And so we have like a really eclectic worldly kind of sound that comes together. And I loved her performance because it embodied that, that energy and that just the colors and the lights and the life within her performance was beautiful.
She's amazing.
So I would love to visit Brazil too.
Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, when I first started, I was always one step behind Anita. It was like impressive, like 10 years ago when she was hitting like starting a partnership with a manager. I was just right after she signed, and then I was right after the producer. I was right after, and we were like working with the same people. And in the labels, like I signed with the label that just signed her, and then she popped out, and I was just like a second Anita at the time. So I was in the freezer.
Wow. No.
In Sony Music. Yeah, it was so frustrated. I had that.
You know what's really cool about that though is because I've also had very similar situations like that with other artists and whatever. But when you're 1 degree away from those people and those types of successes, that just means you keep going and you will find your own moment and your own way to pop off, you know? So that is actually not discouraging at all. I think that's actually fucking amazing that you've been in the loop, in that circle. Because when you're that close to those types of people, that just means that you're on your way as well.
And life is so crazy. Yeah, that it's good that you told me that, because I've never seen in this way, like from the outside. But right now, I'm moving to Portugal to work in a label with the first producer that discovered Anita. Because I went for the backstage, so I was working in labels here in Brazil. Yeah, I went to the backstage and started working with labels. And right now I'm moving to Portugal. And the guy that is hiring me there, it was the first producer that I was just the second Anita at the time. It's crazy. So the connections that you make in the industry just stay for longer.
100%. Everything comes full circle. And many of the people that I'm working with now were people that I met when I first started. And those are the people like that were not successful, were nobodies, and now they're insanely successful. And now we get to have fun and work together and make money and have success together. And that it's a beautiful thing. But that doesn't mean that you just work with anybody and give away your ideas, and you protect yourself.
How do you do this?
Don't let anybody just walk all over you. And it's important that you stay strong and you assert your dominance in the studio working with these people.
Yeah. What is crazy is like you have a vision because maybe you are in U.S. and you have so many pop artists, but Anita for us in Brazil, it was kind of like leading the way. She was the first one. Yep. And when there's someone that is starting something, everybody around is saying, there's no space for another Anita, another one. And you're just thinking like, she has done first, so I might give up.
No,
but
no.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely not true. That's not true. And I think those limiting beliefs are what drives people to quit, you know? And it's the people that actually stick it out. It doesn't matter what age or what time you get successful. It really doesn't. I mean, when you're like being in our 30s as women that are wiser, smarter, that actually are, you know, grounded and know ourselves, that to me is what creates the best art. And the best part about it is that you are able to have more control over it because you know what you're doing. And so I hate when people say, oh, well, there's, you know, that person from that country, that's it for that country. No, we need more representation. We need more people you know, crossing over into the mainstream from every country in the world. That is just such a limiting thing that drives people to quit, and do not take any part in that.
Yeah.
Please don't, because that's just that ruins dreams, and that's just not, I don't see that in you. I see perseverance and commitment.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm taking too much of your time. I don't know.
No.
I have more questions.
No, let's do like an hour-long thing. We got 20 more minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I know the type of people that follow me and that are really involved in what I do are really, you know, committed people that want better for themselves. Yeah. Because that's the type of information and energy that I put out into the world. So I know that's what you have, and you just take that and you don't stop. Of course, nurture yourself and take your breaks and do everything you need to do to, you know, be the best creative that you can be. But don't let what anyone else says.
Don't get overwhelmed. Yeah, so cool.
That's that.
And it's so cool that you work with social media all the time, but you still have your private life, such a balance with Reed. When we first started in the industry, I don't know if it was the same for you, but it feels like women had to live for this. You couldn't get like to be a mom or to have a relationship. You have to be sexy and you have to give your life to show business. Yep. How are you managing both?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's honestly something that even I have struggled with myself, because I do want a family, but I'm nowhere near ready for that, because there's just so much in my career that I want to accomplish. And I think that's perfectly acceptable to plan accordingly. Yeah. You know, it's your life. You can do whatever you want with it, but be smart about it, you know? And so for me, the way that I deal with it is just by, you know, not overwhelming myself to the point that like I have to be this successful at this point in time, because really you don't know when you're gonna pop off. I'm still building, you know, and I who knows, in this next year I could have millions of followers and a hit song. Like, I don't know.
I'll be helping you with that.
Because I'm finally going to put out the music, but I don't really know that. So for me, it's important to enjoy my life and to have normalcy. I like having my normal quiet time with my friends and family. I think it's important. I don't think that it's just like I had like a normal childhood. And so that's what I want to provide, you know, my kids one day too. You know, I don't want to, I see these people that become child stars, and yeah, it might be like great to be that rich and famous your whole life. But do you notice how most of those people struggle very deeply with their mental health and things like that? You know, I don't want that for myself or my family. So yeah, I do prioritize having, you know, a good, healthy relationship with Reed that's outside of work. I know it's a very, you know, rare relationship that we have, because we do everything together.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, we don't get sick of each other, and it works. I don't know.
Yes.
And so maybe that's what you have with your boyfriend, and that's incredible. That's what you want in a business like this. So yeah, I think it's important to have, you know, the house, the family, the husband, whatever, the pets, and, you know, just the vacations and the normalcy. I think it's great, because that's the type of stuff that actually like fuels your fire even more, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
once we talk already about mental health, do you think this social media, these things are like poison for artists, creativity? Because for me, I feel like sometimes I'm just procrastinating with this, just comparing myself, not
Mm.
creating the best thing that I could.
Yeah. Oof, I've been there a lot, and I still get sucked into that sometimes, where I'm comparing and just aimlessly scrolling through TikToks and whatever. But there comes a time, or there came a time when I said, no more. I need to invest in personal development. And that's when I stopped watching what's happening on this phone and I started looking within, because we have all of the answers that we need for our lives come from within. And yes, a lot of people watch me for answers or for inspiration and whatever. That's totally fine. But the point that I really am trying to drive home is that you don't need to look at other people's stuff to know what's going to make you happy and to know what's going to make you successful. You don't, nobody's life is the same. Nobody's journey is the same. And so I think it's really important for your mental health to actually take initiative over your life and to educate yourself on spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, anything that can like really connect you and strengthen your connection to your higher self. Like you lose that when you're sucked into other people's lives.
Yeah.
You lose yourself when you are so like dedicated to seeing what other people are doing.
I know this plays so much.
Yeah.
Other thing that I feel like is sometimes we are putting so much content, and me recording the courses, you too, and sometimes you feel like you get empty. You already gave everything that you know.
Yes. I've had so many times when I was recording my first courses and tutorials for YouTube, I had straight up like mental breakdowns, like hysterical crying, because I was so uncomfortable with what I was doing, because I was so unsure about it and I wasn't confident in myself enough. And I just had a hard time with it. And so it's just a matter of like being willing to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And being willing to maybe struggle a little bit, because really the most rewarding things in life are not easy. They're probably the most difficult things, you know, to accomplish. And so that's where I have to just keep reminding myself, like, I'm doing this not because I enjoy, you know, it's so funny, because like you might look at me and think that I love everything that I'm doing on camera and in spinning knobs and plugins and stuff. Like, no, that's not really like my passion. That's just it's part of what I do so that I can do, you know, fund my music and live my dreams and make money so that I can sustain my dreams and myself. So, and that's okay. I think a lot of people think that, you know, a music career should just be all like fun and satisfying. It's not. It's hard. And you're going to do things that are going to push you to the limits. And that's okay. It's just take your time, regroup, and then start again the next day, or however long you need to take a break, just do that. But Yeah, I'm not prone to mental breakdowns. I have them all the time.
Yeah, me too. I was just taking vacations just this weekend. Yeah, but thank you for being honest, because it helps so much. Like when you listen to someone's finally saying the truth. Like it's not because you work with what you love that you're going to be waking up every day just feeling like doing.
No, not at all. And it's like, that was something that was hard for me to accept. And I've had so many conversations with Reed, actually, because
I want to get to know Reed too.
He's amazing. I'm sure one day we can totally make that happen.
Yeah.
but he is just well, he's an Aquarius, and he's like way wiser beyond like at his years. Like he's so intelligent and so in tune. I'm an emotional, I'm just like that emotional mess sometimes, but I've actually picked up a lot on his energy with being able to control it a little bit more and being able to just endure the hard stuff a little bit easier, because I don't wake up every day and get excited about it.
Do like 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, and then yes, exactly, and then you have to get on. So you're like crying and like, I don't want to do this. And then you have to get on camera and be like all excited and happy. But that's acting. Like that's not even a weird part of it. That's normal.
Yeah. Sometimes just when you know that you have to set up everything, it gets, for me, it's a chance for procrastinate so much. Like, so I just leave the studio the easiest way for me to get ready to record.
Exactly. I know exactly how you feel because I've been there a million times.
I know.
But the nice thing about it is that it does actually become a little bit easier because you develop a system every single time. Like you wouldn't even believe how many times we've had to refilm something, or we lost a project, or we didn't light up something the right way and we had to redo it. Like there have been so many trial and errors with the things that you see that you wouldn't even believe it. And almost every single time something like that happens, I'm at my wit's end. But then I have to remind myself, like, listen, this is part of the process. It's all going to serve its purpose. Just get through it.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so good to talk to someone that gets you, because sometimes there's not a better conversation. You can talk to your therapist, you can talk to your mom, you can talk to your but work with just to talk with someone that is dealing with the same thing as you have to deal is just,
trust me, it's therapeutic on both ends for me as well.
It's basically what we do here with the mentors, mentoring process, with the courses. It's just giving this voice for artists to have like this strength. And do you have an advice for them, for these artists that are maybe watching us?
Yeah, 100%. So I have so many things that I could say, and I've said a lot already, but I think the biggest thing is kind of what we were talking about before. Don't get sucked into other people's lives, and really focus on what you're doing. It's okay to be inspired by other people, but at the end of the day, you know what's best for you. And honestly, you don't want to be copying other people anyway. You want to be as true to yourself and original as possible. And so it's okay to be different. It's okay to be you. That's what makes you special. And I think people forget that. I think a lot of people like to hop on trends, and I refused, this is just my own personal opinion. I refuse to participate in trends because that to me is not a representation of my art or what I have to say. I simply document. I document my entire life. And the reason why I have such an interesting life to document is because of all of the experiences that I've had throughout, my entire life, that I go out and I make sure that I have. So what I mean by that is, if you're not feeling inspired, go rent an Airbnb in the middle of the desert. Go and, journal, see what comes out, go to this place, that place, work with other people, get in sessions, write as much music as possible. It's just like exposing yourself to the world. You can't communicate with the world if you haven't participated in it. So what I mean by that is that you really can't like become this like artist that you want to be if you are secluded and you're not like really like living your life, if that makes sense.
Totally, because especially after pandemic.
Yeah.
We got used to just stay in this comfort zone, because before the pandemic, I was doing shows in São Paulo.
Yeah.
I had like a big show, and then everything stopped, and I changed my career. Pivot.
So did I.
My career to the social media content creator. And the courses and everything, and I got so used to get inside of the house and doing everything in my control, in my time, working only with the people that I wanted to work, and now that I have to go out again, it's
but that's a beautiful thing though, because I also had that same experience. It actually was healthy for me to step away from everybody else and just focus on my career. But I think there's like a time and place for that. I think it's important to go and experience your life and live your life and be inspired by the world to create your art and to feed your soul. Because at the end of the day, if your soul isn't fed and if you don't feel inspired, you're not going to create anything good. You're not going to spark something in somebody else if that spark is missing from within you. So that is what I mean by that. And honestly, I live in my bubble too. I mean, I basically just work at home, and I think the pandemic has kind of allowed everybody to get comfortable within their own home. But I think there's just a balance that you have to find. It's balance. Everything is a balance. Everything that we've talked about in this conversation is finding a balance that works for you.
Yeah. So good that right now we can see that like artists are closer to us through stories, and we can see this other part of life being developed, because when we were growing up, we were only seeing the highlights of everything, and it was
I know and that's kind of what's cool about the way social media has progressed, is that you are seeing all sides of people's lives and not just the highlight reels. But even now, it's still so easy to edit your life to make it look like something that it's not. Yeah. And I'm telling you, if you do that, if you're trying to pretend that you're someone that you're not, it's never going to translate. People are, even though you might not necessarily think this all the time, people are smart, people are intuitive, and they can feel, if somebody's faking it. Yeah. And so it's like, sure, you can build an audience and a career that way, but is that going to actually be something that's, that has longevity? Probably not. Yeah. And that's what's important for me in my career, is longevity. I'm not chasing the trends. I'm not chasing the viral moment. That stuff will come in time. I'm just building consistently every day. And for me, I think that's like the best way to do it, because one, I'm still learning. The learning curves never end. So don't ever expect to think you have it in the bag, because once you accomplish one thing, you're going to want to accomplish the next thing. And then you have to figure out how to get to the next level. So even though I'm at this like, you know, pretty good level, I'm still nowhere near where I want to be, right? So it's important to be okay with that. Be okay with the fact that you're probably never going to be satisfied with where you're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a totally normal thing, and it's a normal emotion to feel that. You can feel all the feelings, you can cry it out, like emotions are good, but don't hinder yourself just because you're like looking at this gap of where you are and where you want to be. It's just such an unhealthy place to be. Like,
and we know that because we've been there.
Yes.
They're so toxic. Like, I want that. Why is she getting first?
Right. Yeah. It's just like
right now it's so much lighter.
Yeah. And so I think like kind of summarizing what I just talked about, there's like a lot of layers to it, but I think the best advice for you and, you know, the artists that you're mentoring is thinking about, one, what makes you happy, being yourself, and then two, like thinking of your career in terms of longevity and what's actually sustainable and attainable and realistic. Because for me, if I decide, you know, I've already decided in my head that I'm going to win a Grammy. I already decided in my head that I'm going to have my hit songs. It's going to happen. I decided that. So that's what my reality is. Like, I am the creator of my own world. And there's so much power in that. I think a lot of people don't realize the power they actually hold inside.
Oh my God. It's so fulfilling to listen to you talking like this, because it's basically a spark that maybe it's missing, and you are just liking this in me right now, because I've been like so long not believing it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand, because it's hard. I mean, even just recently, I kind of went through a slump where I was just like not seeing how I was going to accomplish this, you know, being my own label, having to fund, you know, my music career. It's a lot. And everybody's in that same boat, because, you know, the music industry is changing drastically. So everybody has, you know, control of their careers, and it's a lot to take on. So just be kind to yourself and breathe and get through it. You're going to be fine. At the end of the day, you just have to remember that we're literally just on a floating rock in space, and it's not that serious.
Yeah. I'm just right now I'm working to have like my identity expressed in music, because
that's the throat chakra. So I also had that problem, and I don't know how involved you are in like energy cleansing and things like that, but I've learned that if you're having trouble with your identity and speaking your truth, then there must be some blockages within your throat chakra, and consider, you know, doing some energy work or some healing.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good. Yeah, because sometimes I feel like talking, like communicating and producing content is easier than go through the music process. Yeah.
Yes.
Different type of identity. Yeah.
Totally different. And at the same time, they both like feed each other. So yeah, honestly, I suggest maybe doing some research on some like crystal work or energy healers. I'm sure there's some amazing people in Brazil that you can see. It's helped me a lot. And energy, like at the end of the day, like we're all vibrational beings. And when your vibration is off, then the flow of everything is kind of obstructed. So you want to constantly live in a flow. And when you find that flow, it seems like everything else falls into place. it's wild. I mean, I can feel it when I'm in the flow. Things are happening exactly the way they should, and when I feel like something's kind of like pushing me off, like that's just like a sign that maybe something needs attention or healing within, you know?
Yeah, I would definitely take this with me forever.
Yes, I love that. Do you have any like final like question or?
Yeah, I think I basically asked you everything that I had in my list. Yeah, I think the only thing it was missing, you'll think like over 30, we have to make different decisions as a women in this industry about choosing the way we are expressing and how we are going to sustain this for the next decade. Are we going to have the energy to sustain all of this pressure, this body pressure, everything?
Yep. It's so funny because this is probably like just body image and like feeling comfortable within my body is probably like the biggest obstacle that I've personally face on a daily basis. So now that I'm in my 30s, it kind of it put like a highlight on those issues, kind of like shadow work, you know, like there was a lot of stuff that I had to work through recently to really accept myself and be dedicated to like a healthier lifestyle so that I did have the energy to sustain myself and to step into this role of, you know, the superstar that like I've always known that I was inside. So yeah, I think it's, for me, it's just a matter of just making daily progress on little like habitual like habits every day, because like those are the types of things that like actually affect your mental health and your productivity. Eating healthy and working out, exercising, meditating, going to the sauna, like these are all things that I do on a regular basis to like consistently cleanse myself and to recenter myself. And I know it has nothing to do with music, but it's like we are creators, like we are the art. You know, like it's not just our voices, it's the entire image and energy that you put out in your music and in your content. And I think it's really important, especially for us women to detox and to like really find like a system that works like for us. You know, it's a daily struggle. You know, I every day you're scrolling through TikTok and somebody has something different to say about what you should do to be healthy and productive. And it's like, well, what is it that I need? And so we go back to listening to yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love that. Awesome. I feel like such a winner from the challenge of the pre-saves.
Thank you so much for, you know, once again, just always being so involved, you know, in my career. It really makes a difference. People like you, you know, I don't even see you like as a fan. I feel like that's weird. I just feel like we're friends. And, you know, I'm just attracting the right people into my life. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So I'm excited to you know, check out your stuff and follow you back and just like keep up with like what you're doing. And dude, good luck in Portugal. I am so excited.
And let me know if someday you get there and you want to know you want to get to know the label and the musicians and everything, and we can connect. Everybody.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
And if you decided to come to Brazil, we have to take you to a funk.
Yes.
Baile de favela. You have to come.
Okay, amazing. I'm so down. Well, you're beautiful, and I can tell that you are doing exactly what you need to do. And I am super proud of you and happy for you. So yeah, I'm so happy that we got the chance to talk.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being this inspiration for me.
You're
amazing. Keep doing it.
All right, bye, Mia. We'll talk soon.
Bye. E no próximo episódio, muito mais sobre o mercado da música.